Rosanna, there would be no America if it wasn't for explorer Christopher Columbus, of course.
Yes.
We owe him a lot, don't we?
We do.
Who else
Except
do we...
some people don't think so, but...
There's Jacques Cousteau, another famous explorer.
Yes.
He liked to go underwater and on top of the water. Next up, Buzz Aldrin. Great explorers in history. You know, all these guys, at one point or another, maybe except for Christopher Columbus, have hung out at the Explorers Club in New York City.
I didn't even know there was one in New York City. I heard it was founded in 1904.
It's a very special place, and they've got a very special event this weekend with a great crew of explorers. Let's meet some of them. We have Vanessa O'Brien. She is actually the Explorers Club dinner co-chair. An experienced mountain climber. How many mountains have you climbed?
I've climbed every mountain on every continent, the highest one, and 4 of the highest in the world.
I feel like that song I want to sing, Climb Every Mountain.
That is amazing.
That's you.
That's amazing.
Right.
We also have Greg Olsen. He traveled into outer space with the Russians. He spent time on the International Space Station back in 2005. That's awesome.
I loved it, every second of it.
Oh, man. And now we have the chef, Rosanna.
David George Gordon. What's your claim to fame, chef?
You know, I'm known as the bug chef. Not a bug chef, the bug chef. I'm actually serving all of the bugs at the Explorers Club dinner.
As an appetizer for everybody?
Yeah, it's during the cocktail hour, actually.
Okay.
I have a budget of $15,000 for bugs.
You explorers are great people, also a little bit eccentric. All right, Vanessa, let's go through one of the more challenging climbs you ever did. Why did you do it?
One of the most challenging was probably Everest.
You've been to the top of Everest?
I have absolutely been to the top of Everest.
Oh my gosh.
It's the highest in the world. It's 29,035 feet. Planes fly at 30,000, 35,000 feet, so it's absolutely one of the most challenging.
What did you do when you got to the top?
Took a deep breath, thought about my descent, and took a picture and started down.
That was that.
That was
it
that.
was a very short-lived
Absolutely.
pat on the back.
You realize when you're at the top that you are only halfway, and that you really have to start thinking about getting down.
Yeah, because people have been known to die on that voyage.
Absolutely. There are 235 bodies on Everest today that did not make it down, so it's a very serious undertaking.
Greg, what does it take to be someone as adventurous as all of the 3 of you are?
You have to be a little bit nuts. Yeah, I think you just really have to have a passion for something, because there's a million reasons why it won't happen, and you just have to go. I mean, climbing Mount Everest, you think that's easy?
But going to outer space, too.
Wasn't easy either. I had a medical disqualification. It
What
took
was
me
that?
a year. I had a collapsed lung, and I had to have it repaired, and it cost me a year. And the Russians said, no, you can't go. But I kept reapplying, and eventually warmed down and got to space.
How long were you up there?
8 days, 10 days total, 8 days on the International Space Station.
That is so awesome.
Wow. What did you do while you were up there?
A lot of looking out the window. I have a great photo of Central Park that I took with a telephoto lens.
Now listen, sometimes I hear about those Russian rockets being on the rickety side. Were you a little apprehensive about going up in the Soyuz spacecraft?
Not at all. In fact, the Russians have a great safety record in space. And, you know, when I first went into training in Russia, I was a little disconcerted. But once I got into training and I saw that, you know, they were good at this stuff, I was very confident.
Did you get nauseous on the way up or down?
I'm one of the lucky ones. I didn't.
And Greg, what was your day job? I mean, you know, you're able to like kind of leave whatever it was you were doing and go to outer space. How did you lock that on?
I had a high-tech company making infrared cameras. And I was fortunate, my partner, Marshall Cohen, was able to just take over the business while I was in training, because it took 2 years of my life to prepare for this.
And your family was behind?
My daughter Krista's and Kim, they just said, go for it, Dad. No objections whatsoever.
Oh, man.
That's fantastic.
This guy's been into outer space, you've been on top of Everest, and you like to eat insects.
He crawls around, I think.
Yeah,
what,
right.
How do you find your bugs, by
You
the
know,
way?
I actually have sources. I have a Rolodex that's to die for, where I can order things like tarantula, spiders, and scorpions. I'm getting 300 tarantula spiders for Saturday's event.
So how do you pick them up? How do you know they're not like poisonous to eat?
You know, the biggest thing is pesticides. If they're eating pesticides, you're eating them, now you're eating poison. So I make sure that everything I get comes from a pesticide-free area. I'm getting 4 pounds of crickets that are actually organically farmed in Austin, Texas.
Well, we want to take a nice close
What
look
is that?
at this. This looks like, you tell us, Chef, but it's some sort of bug wrapped in bacon. What
That's
do we
right.
got?
I'll eat anything in bacon. That's a Cambodian mole cricket.
Now, this can't be good for you, man.
Well, why do you say that? There's actually almost 2 billion people that eat bugs around the world.
What does it taste like? Chicken.
You know?
What does it taste like?
It tastes
Chef?
like a cricket.
It does? Greg, come on.
Can we see a fried tarantula? Could you hand one of those over
Oh,
this way, please?
absolutely. These are deep-fried tarantula spiders.
No,
I've taken all the hairs off of them.
You did?
And
Thank
I've
you.
taken the abdomen off, and now they're tempura battered and deep-fried.
I'll try a leg.
Yeah, you really should.
All right, try something, because you know, you'll always regret
Good for you.
this moment.
It's like a potato chip, actually.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
go
I
for
say
another
like
bite.
a Cheeto. Oh, I forgot. If you have a shellfish allergy.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah, right.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
So how about this? This is interesting. Ants.
Ants on a log. It's a childhood favorite, and those are little
Are you gonna try
red
Vanessa?
ants and black
I'll
ants
do the ants
mixed.
on a log.
Greg?
Sure.
All right, my eye.
You want the tarantula?
Oh, okay.
Greg's
Okay.
good. Okay.
Good.
Just pop it in.
Well, you know, I
Vanessa,
say go
what
for
do you
the
think
legs.
about ants?
There you go.
What does it taste like?
A bit salty.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
ants have a very unusual taste.
Now, Vanessa, when you're not climbing mountains, what do you do?
No, I am preparing for K2, which is the second highest mountain in the world. This is June, coming up in June. There has never been an American woman to summit K2.
Is that right?
That's right. It's one of the hardest mountains in the world. So I do this full time.
So what do you do to prepare?
You know, a lot of high altitude mountaineering is cardiovascular, because the air is so thin that you really need the cardiovascular strength. So it's cardiovascular exercise primarily.
Well, the Explorers Club, by the way, is it open to anybody to join? How do you become affiliated with it?
You do need to have some experience and qualifications to apply. You need 2 referrals on your application, and you need to be involved in some sort of research or scientific a background or something on your application.
Rosanna went to the Jersey Shore 2 years ago. Is she eligible?
Well, did you?
That was quite the adventure. It was.
If you made some important discovery there that can further and advance the knowledge,
You did see Snooki.
There you go.
Okay.
Does it work?
then
Maybe. Greg, are you enjoying the tarantula?
It's something like a fried crab.
You know, when they're
Well
right
dried.
out of the fryer, they're delicious.
So, Chef, what do you do? I mean, how do you make a living? Are you just making bug?
You know, I wrote a cookbook called the Eat a Bug Cookbook, and that's
Yeah.
actually been in print now for 17 years.
Wow.
So I've been traveling around the country. I've been to Singapore, Trinidad, a few other places cooking bugs. That's what I do for a living.
Wow.
Well, I noticed that there are a lot of bugs that haven't been eaten. More for everybody.
The
if you
day is
want.
young.
Thank you very much. How's your
Okay.
Russian, by the way, Greg? Did they make you learn Russian to go up into space with the Russians?
Я говорю по-русски, не очень хорошо.
was-
I don't speak Russian very well, but I did have to learn some for the trip.
Oh, that's...
And it was a fabulous experiance.
How many
training in
times around the
Russia.
Earth did you? How many?
160 times.
160
I got
orbits. Wow.
5 million frequent flyer miles.
Well, that's beautiful. Very impressive, Mr. Olsen. Bug Chef, thank you.
And
Vanessa, thank you.
Good luck.
thank you.
June, right?
Thank you, June it is.